I don't give a shit about the movie or the TV goddamn shows or the streaming or the video games and all that bullshit. I love comics.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another special Agents of Fandom interview. My name is TJ Zwarich, joined by legendary comic creator Chip Zdarsky. You know him from Batman books, Daredevil books, Spider-Man books, and so much more. Chip, thanks so much for doing this.
Too much, really. Thank you.
Too many things. Way too many things. We are here at 8th Street Quentin's Comics in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, where you're doing a signing today. What made you want to do a Canadian tour, and why Saskatoon?
I learned to drive. I'm a grown-ass man, and I learned to drive. And it turns out I like it. So I told my wife, I'm just like, I'm going to hit the road. She's like, goodbye. And so I did it. And yeah, so I knew I was going to be hitting Saskatoon on the way. And when in Saskatoon, Quentin's is your #1 shop for comics.
Absolutely true. I agree 100%. It's where I get all my stuff. You can find the Agents of Fandom posters in the store. Great spot. My first question to you is about Daredevil. Your iconic run is coming to an end. What are you ready for somebody else to pick it up? And what do you think makes Matt so relatable outside of crying after sex?
Well, it's just crying after sex. That's what's relatable about him. But yeah, no, I mean, I knew I was ending it a couple of years ago because I had the story plotted out. So I let Marvel know pretty far in advance. So I've known who's taking over for about 6-7 months now at this point. Saladin Ahmed and Aaron Cooter on art. And I've had a chance to kind of read their first issue and like see the outline for the series, and it's awesome. Like, the weird thing about writing Daredevil is it's the only time in my life where I haven't been reading Daredevil. So I'm looking forward to reading Daredevil again. So that's the good feeling.
What went into your decision-making process to decide Elektra is the new Daredevil?
It's funny, you know, I planned out a fair amount of the storyline, but the Elektra part kind of came a bit later. I knew she'd be part of the story, but once I put Daredevil in prison, I was just like, oh, someone should be Daredevil on the outside. And it was just like, the light bulb clicked. So once that happened, you kind of write the story to have it make a lot of sense when it kind of leads up to it. Like her kind of progress as a character and how she's trying to get Matt on board to her plan. And then Marco just killed it on the design. So I think it's one of my favorite things that we've managed to do in the comic.
I always say that there are two comic book characters that kind of stand above all else in terms of sales and popularity. You know, cities like New York and LA, they're big enough they can house 2 sports teams. I kind of feel similar about Spider-Man and Batman. They could have 2 movie franchises going on at once because people love them so much. You've already written Spider-Man. Yeah. You're currently writing Batman. What's it like balancing these different books for the 2 biggest comic book publishing companies there are?
It's weird. It's weird to the point where like I actually can't do Marvel stuff anymore while I'm doing Batman because I can't know the secrets of Marvel. Like, it's a weird thing. Like, Marvel invites me to like their summits where all the writers kind of like talk about the next 4 or 5 years. And they invited me to one recently. I was just like, I can't go. I can't know what's happening for the next 4 years while I'm over at DC knowing what Batman's doing for the next 4 years. Like, it's a weird conflict of interest. It's very sad to have to choose between Batman and Spider-Man. I hope Spider-Man forgives me.
He's a pretty forgiving guy. He might be upset for a while, but he'll eventually.
That's true. It's probably his fault. It's always Spider-Man's fault. So
the guy's had a fair amount of trauma.
He did something wrong.
What do you think makes Batman tick differently now than 10, 20, 30 years ago? He's obviously more of a father figure now than he was way back in the day. How do you think his character is now different?
I mean, that's the big thing. And also, like, I'm coming on board during a time where he's aged a little bit in the comics, I think, because of the extensive Bat family. So it's fun to write him now where he's like, maybe he can't do the job. Maybe he's kind of too old to kind of keep doing this. Like, his body's taken a lot. And also the sense of responsibility he feels to that Bat family, because they've kind of followed him into this life. And is that a good thing, ultimately? Can they be happy? And so that's the big question kind of going forward. What's his responsibility to them?
Are you excited to see James Gunn's new edition of Batman in the DCU now introducing us to Damian and hopefully the entire Bat family?
I don't give a shit about the movie or the TV goddamn shows, or the streaming, or the video games, and all that bullshit. I love comics.
Check out your local
I love
comic shop
comics.
and pick up some damn comics.
Holy shit, I am old. I just didn't really notice it until now.
The salt and pepper looks great.
It's just salt. Christ.
So I gotta make sure I get this right. Host of the Agents of Fandom Comic Corner, Damon, gave me this question, and I need to make sure that I do it right. I'm supposed to wink at you. Public domain TV show or movie when?
Probably never. I don't think there's a lot of people clamoring for a quasi-legal drama about the making of comics. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Netflix, I'm wrong. Netflix, please. Please, I need the money. Oh, God.
You've recently switched to another domain to help with the comics creation, Substack.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide to make that switch, and what are some of the benefits that you found with working with Substack?
I mean, I've been doing the newsletter through Substack for a long time now, before Substack gave me a grant to kind of extend that. I mean, honestly, Substack gave me money to make comics, and so I made comics with friends, and that was really nice. And now that that's over, I'm still doing it there because I like having a community there. Like, you have to pay a little bit per month to talk to me, which eliminates all the people yelling at me, weirdly enough. Nobody who hates me pays money to tell me they hate me. You just do it for free on Twitter. So, that's the best part, frankly.
Make sure to join Chip's Substack. And the last question I have from you, this one also came from Damon, and I got to make sure I word it right because he was so proud of this one.
This Damon guy, I don't think he exists. I think, frankly, it's just an alternate ego for you. So
Yeah,
you
it's
just ask these questions.
It's just anytime I have a question that I think might be dumb, I blame it on
it's
this Damon guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And so here it is. Got to make sure I get it right. It's comics creation has been described like creating a sandcastle. Eventually, no matter how beautiful your work is, a wave is going to come and knock it all down for somebody new to come and build their sandcastle with those characters in the same spot. Every now and then, somebody finds a flag from the previous sandcastle and picks up those story pieces. It's a lot, right? Picks up those story pieces. From one of your stories, obviously, Saladin Ahmed's going to be picking up Daredevil, and you've written so much. What's something that you've written that you hope sticks, doesn't get rewritten, and gets continued forever in that character's legacy?
Okay. And Damon, your analogy was horrible. I'm just going to put that out there. The sandcastle thing, I don't get that at all. I'm going to say, and I mean this with respect to everyone who wants their stuff to continue on in some form, I do not care. I wrote the stories are out there, they exist in books, hopefully they'll exist in those books forever, people can read them and enjoy them. If Saladin, if next issue he was like, it's all a dream, everything that happened was a dream, I'd be like, okay, fine. It doesn't change the stories are the stories. You get a bit of a thrill to see your stuff kind of move on throughout in the other comics, but like ultimately you're in control of the story that you're writing, and you should be proud of that. And the future is the future, and let people work unfettered from the chains of the past, aka me. I'm dead now. Move on with your life.
Not dead yet. Still working on Batman and so much more. You can make sure you check out Chip's Substack. Thank you so much for doing this with me. You can find this interview up on agentsoffandom.com as well as the AOF YouTube page. Thanks so much. And thanks for coming to Saskatoon.
Thanks for having me, Damon.
That's the meanest thing anyone has ever said to me. Cut.
He's clearly Damon.
Cut.